Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus this morning is on a nonprofit, nonpartisan, community-based organization that is the nation's oldest and largest community-based movement devoted to empowering African Americans entering the economic and social mainstream. The National Urban League was founded in 1910 in New York City, and the Milwaukee Urban League was established in 1919 as an affiliate. Their mission has remained the same: to help African Americans and other people of color achieve civil rights as well as social and economic equality. My first guest serves as the new president and CEO of the Milwaukee Urban League. She's a native of Milwaukee who holds a bachelor's degree in educational psychology from Florida A&M University, a master's degree in administrative leadership from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and a PhD in educational leadership from Cardinal Stritch University. Dr. Eve Hall, how are you?
I am wonderful.
Thank you for being here. And as everyone can tell, you have quite a resume that has led you to where you are today. And you recently succeeded Ralph Holman. And it's interesting to find out more about your background and what your goals are for the Milwaukee Urban League.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here.
Yes.
I am proud to be succeeding Ralph Holman, quite frankly, who I've known for many years in the community. And so being at the helm of the Urban League at such a critical time, both in our city and our country, is an honor and a responsibility, especially since we represent one of the legacy organizations that, quite frankly, stabilized 5 to 8 million African Americans since its founding in 1910 to help us to become more of an empowered community.
Absolutely. So with this background of yours, you served as the president and CEO of the African American Chamber of Commerce, and you're a member of Mayor Barrett's local area business action team and co-founder of the African American Women's Project Fund. So taking all of the skills and the things that you've gained from those particular scenarios, what are your goals for the Milwaukee Urban League as you move forward?
Well, first of all, what's wonderful about being at the Urban League is that we focus on a lot of my passion areas. So while I did run the African American Chamber of Commerce, which was a great honor and experience as well, we focused on business development, really supporting entrepreneurs, making sure that African Americans had a fair shake at the different contracts and procurement opportunities. What the Urban League does is it even expands the footprint that I'm now able to represent. And included in the entrepreneurship area, which we also support, is education and youth. So we're trying to help really more of our students succeed in high school and going on to college. It involves jobs, employment. So again, making sure that in terms of economic advancement, that somehow we are moving the needle for more of our men and women to be employed, especially our men in this city.
Absolutely. And it just seems like it is a perfect match with you having relationships with business owners and then being in this position now where you are forging those relationships to help businesses find jobs for individuals who are skilled to work those jobs. And you are on what you call a journey to 100. The Urban League's been changing lives and empowering the community, if I do my math right, for 98 years.
That's correct. That's correct. So I expect to see you at the Black and White Ball, as we talked about earlier.
Yes.
In 2018 and 2019.
Yes, it's something to look forward to. We'll talk a little bit more about the Black and White Ball because you did just wrap it up and it was a huge success. But this journey to 100, tell us more about that.
So our journey to 100, as you mentioned earlier, we were founded in 1919, and that is significant, Andrea, because as you mentioned earlier, the National Urban League was founded in 1910. So that means that our Milwaukee affiliate was part of that first decade of organizations founded, especially in the Midwest, to support families who are migrating from the South to the North. And, you know, while we're now stabilized, it's really about taking our community to the next level. So what does that mean for us? That means that we are going to further enhance our programs and services so that we have an even deeper impact and a wider impact on this community in all of the areas that we mentioned. So in terms of, for instance, employment and training, while we're working with some that may be difficult to employ or those that are underemployed, we also want to become a conduit for our young professionals who may be looking at different opportunities here in the city, and we become that venue that really helps with retention. So our young professionals and even our seasoned professionals do not leave. When we look at education and youth, looking at ways that we can deepen the impact on youth. So we've actually just recently started a partnership with UW-Platteville in terms of engineering, because STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math will be one of our focus areas in our youth leadership summits, where we will begin bringing youth together, which we did about a month ago. We had 100 youth together on a Saturday in partnership with Junior Achievement, Milwaukee Pathways, and our league. In terms of economic development and entrepreneurship, we're looking at expansion. We're actually going to soon be announcing a national partnership that we will be having for a certain segment of entrepreneurs. As our journey to 100, as you may know, the mortgage was burned on our building because of Ralph Homan. So we are now, as I say, homeowners, okay? And however, as you may know, in Bronzeville, which was the highlight and thriving district many years ago for the African American community, until urban renewal hit, in which 200 black business owners we had basically, diminished. We had 7,000 African American families that were displaced, so we really went through a lot of challenges. But now it's back, and we're right in the midst of that, in the midst of a lot of renewal. But in that, while we do own our building, it is an old building, so now we need to do an upgrade. So we will be in the midst of a capital campaign to upgrade the outside of our building, as well as doing some renovations inside.
So it sounds like you're on a mission to increase revenue,
absolutely,
deepen community impact, and raise visibility. So all
and
of these
awareness
things.
about who we are.
Absolutely, and that is
people don't really know.
One of the reasons why we have you here today. So for 2017, it's been listed that your goals: renew, re-engage, rethink, and revisit. So that really sums up all the things.
The 3 R's, you got it. Yes.
All the things that you just mentioned. So let's talk about the National Urban League recently releasing their report. They do this every year on the state of Black America. So not only do they pinpoint the issues, they also look at some of the things that have gone very well. So when it comes to Black-white unemployment rankings for 2016, the metro area of the Milwaukee, Waukesha, West Allis area reflected double-digit unemployment for Blacks at 13.8% compared to 2.7% for whites. This is not the list that Milwaukee wants to be on, but it is a reality. And what do you think when you hear those numbers?
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, we've been hearing these numbers for quite some time. We know that the gap is extremely wide, and it doesn't need to be that way, which is one of the reasons that we work so fervently at the Urban League to employ and to help people get into the skill sets that they need. What I'm looking at now is, again, how can we increase, how can we close that gap? Nationally, we're struggling. We really are. But what I'm looking at, quite frankly, is what are some of the solutions? What are some of the successes? And in fact, when we speak about the State of Black America, which, as you mentioned, is a national report that's provided by the National Urban League, at one point, the Milwaukee Urban League had a State of Black Milwaukee. So we will be reestablishing that. However, it will be the State of Black Milwaukee: statistics, solutions, and successes. Because while we continue to focus on the stats, and we know it's a challenge, let's look at some of the solutions. Let's look at some of the successes, which we have, so that at the end of a conversation, you don't feel hopeless, you don't feel so overwhelmed, but you continue to look at what can we do to move ahead.
Absolutely. And so some of the issues that we talk about on this show, especially when I talk to elected officials, we talk about infant mortality, poverty, and incarceration. And what I've gathered is that the solution that they come up with most of the time is jobs. So that is probably the #1 thing on the agenda to really serve as a solution to the issues that we're looking at constantly in the city of Milwaukee and surrounding areas, right?
Absolutely, and I would say coupled with that, Andrea, some of the issues around transportation. You know, oftentimes some of the jobs aren't even in Milwaukee,
Right.
or they're in areas of Milwaukee where the transportation can be limited. So we're actually involved with a coalition that's focusing on ways that we can improve access for transportation. And then, quite frankly, the race issues, you know, we still remain quite segregated. I mean, I think we continue to make progress in terms of building bridges, but I think the more that actually the Urban League can help to convene conversations around race, around, you know, what are the economic benefits if we work more closely together, and that we really look at the more that people are employed, we all win. Because at the end of the day, that's what people want. They want to be able to take care of their children, take care of their families, live a quality of life. The media, unfortunately, we love you, but at the same time, you know, it often displays the negative. I mean, the slant is always so negative, especially with the African American community. And while we may have our challenges, we have a lot of successes. We have people who are working really hard every day to do well, to do right, to be successful. And we have those that are successful. So, you know, part of, even when we talk about the journey to 100, is we want to be part of changing the narrative of what is being reflected in the news and in the media, so that you can see the other side.
Absolutely, and there is this hashtag on social media that's changed the narrative,
That's
MKE, and the whole idea is to shine a light on the positive things that's going on, and when someone hits that hashtag, then they can kind of scroll along and see the positive things.
And I was part of that group that pulled that together.
Yes, I think it's a great idea, because the truth is, this show says our issues. So we do have to talk about the issues, but at the end of the day, we can talk about it all day, but the goal is to kind of have individuals here that can present a solution and really help change the narrative. Absolutely.
And at the black and white ball that you missed. And I have to do that to you.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I love that. So give us a little summary of the black and white ball, because it is a who's who event every year, and it's something that helps not only raise funds for the Milwaukee Urban League and your programs and services, but it really is a way for you to make people who are in the community come to the same spot, network, and really be able to make a difference once they leave that spectacular event.
Absolutely. So this was our 32nd annual Black and White Ball. And the premise of its beginning was around building bridges. It was about bringing black and white together, quite frankly, in a fun setting, having fun and being able to network and being able to look at commonalities versus differences. So this year we had over 900 people.
Wow.
We had some additional venues and experiences that our attendees could have. And this year we also had live testimonies. So we had, when we talk about successes, we had a success story of someone who was able to get employment and, you know, was in just a crazy situation, but because of our staff, which I always say, you know, at the end of the day, it is my staff and team that's making the difference in this community every day. And one of the members of our team really made a difference for a gentleman who's taking care of his family. Another had to do with the student that we were able to support who's now going to UW-Madison. And so, you know, just being able to illustrate, here are examples of the lives that we touch in our community.
That's good stuff. That is good stuff. And you will be serving as the co-grand marshal for the UNCF's 33rd annual walk run for education that's happening on Milwaukee's lakefront on July 22nd. So this ties in nicely with really bringing awareness to the Urban League and what you're doing, but also education, which is so important with the goal and mission of the Urban League as well.
Oh, absolutely. I was honored to be asked to be co-chair. What's interesting is I'm also a graduate of one of the historically black colleges and universities.
Me too.
A&M University. You
That's
are.
right, Central State University.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
So you get it. So, you know, UNCF, they focus on the private black colleges, so it will be great to support them. At one point in my career, I was running the office for Thurgood Marshall College Fund, which focused on the public black colleges. So just options for students, because that experience is great to support. I'm on the Board of Regents for UW Wisconsin, so I have to give that plug because I also support our Wisconsin colleges and universities who are really working hard to try to support diversity in our students and their institutions.
Well, I thank you so much for coming by and sharing all of the great things that are in motion at the Milwaukee Urban League, and we look forward to having you come back to bring us up to date on some of the things that you have mentioned as part of your goals.
Would be glad to. Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming by, Dr. Eve Hall. She is the president and CEO of the Milwaukee Urban League. For more information on anything that we've discussed, you can visit their website at tmul.org or give them a call at 414-374-5850. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll continue our focus on the Milwaukee Urban League. We'll discuss unemployment in the city and how the Urban League is connecting unemployed and underemployed Milwaukeeans with employment opportunities. We'll be right back after this.